Alrighty, so this is Decent Weed People News. One more time at it. Okay. So I'm a little bit on the irk side. Okay. Um, so I did previous videos of this same deal. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. Start off with 10 views, 5 views, 3 views. Alright? You guys can do what you want. Okay? It's educational purposes only. But what gets me sometimes is I'm sitting here showing a deal of codes that you can use, okay, and all kinds of Supreme Court's definitions they're using and all this kind of stuff, information you can use easily acceptable on here. Do your own research, because whatever he says and I say is hearsay, but you got them written out for you to actually go in and research it, okay. Whether you're national, whether you're American, whether you're U.S. citizen, everything is still based around code, statutes, rules, and regulations. Okay? And to get to our government officials, you got to use these things against them. You got to do your investigation against them. Okay? Like criminal code says all person here in Texas. That doesn't say all persons but officers. Now they get these sovereign citizen immunities or whatever, but that's later on down the line. What you are doing is filing a criminal complaint of the crimes they've done to you. Will it go anywhere? No. But when you have 1 million people out of 4 million people filing these criminal complaints, the legislature and all them is going to take a double look and say, hey, what the heck is going on? Right? But when you have one person out of 5 million people doing it, nothing's going to be accomplished. And then if it does get accomplished, it gets accomplished to the one particular man or woman. It don't get accomplished overall, right? It goes into another deal here. If he's not doing things correctly, why is he not sitting in prison right now? Okay, he's been doing this for years and years and years. So what is he doing correctly to keep him out? Now everybody says, well, your case law this, case law that, show me verifiable proof and all this kind of stuff. Well, the courts actually separate things sometimes. Okay? There's certain things they're going to show on the record, and there's certain things they will not show on the record. So we can't even go by the overall view. Let me see something that's here and for on the record. Okay? I had my documents. It was moved out of the courtroom. They still used it, but it does not transport into my cases or my case, because they put it in a different category. I'm led to believe and do believe it was under a fraudulent particular deal to protect yourselves, but doesn't change the fact that's what they do. All right. So when people say that, I do understand the concept of that, but also understand that there's courts do these couple of different deals to kind of separate them, right? So anytime there's paperwork in there, what the courts are doing is saying, yeah, that paperwork right there, I'm going arm length from that paperwork, is what they're doing. I don't want to really be a part of it. I would look at it, but, this is going to be a different matter, argument's sake, in a totally different jurisdiction, to easily put. So, there's my rat and rave. Now, if I get less views, great. If it's the people going to his channel. But if they're doing it just because they don't want to be learned and gain more knowledge, remember, people, everything they do affects you. And the only thing we could do is never look straight forward, always look around us to be able to protect ourselves by any means necessary. And it's going to happen to you or one of your family members in some form or fashion. Period. Okay? So, there's my rant and rave. And again, these videos are for my deal, so you guys don't have to, obviously, as educational purposes. But, I just want to kind of blurt that out. As 10, 5, and 3 was getting less and less. And just because there's some type of maybe, allegedly, trickery words he may use that you don't agree to, you don't have to agree with what he believes, but there's statutes, codes, rules, and regulations and definitions that he's using that we can use in particular incidents of the cases you believe in. All right, let's go.
Military police buddies and all these military police pigs for failure to pay Federal Reserve notes, forced loans, military script, fake money, or complete a impecuniosity interrogatory, which requires all or part of a Social Security number. And Janet Yellen's required to know they're compelling the disclosure of a Social Security number. Well, there's no law that says anyone's required to get a Social Security number, because the Social Security number is for federal personnel only. And they know it's a...
Now, I'm going to stop right there. These banknotes that you speak of that we're using every day, they was actually supposed to be attended to the government bodies to do their own private business in the government body. We're actually supposed to still use gold and silver. And they could get paid in gold and silver later on, but the banknotes was passed for the government employees. Well, if we're using banknotes right now, what are we? Is it possible? It's a question. Could it be that they assume and presume that we are the government body of the citizen of the federal body, government body, right? There's actually a law of nation, right? Says a citizen is employees of government. So you're actually going in there and, again, going in the wrong standing. I'm a citizen. Well, you're agreeing that you are one of the government body, okay? People has political powers and control of our government. Citizens is beneath the people, allegedly. Okay, I'm not an attorney. I'm not giving legal advice, okay? I'm here to say, do your own research, educate yourself.
Only to compel the disclosure of a Social Security number. And the Constitution of the United States of America is the supreme law of the land. And Janet Yellen's required to know that Article 1, Section 10, Clause 1 of the Constitution requires that only gold or silver coin can be a tender in a payment of debt.
Just sit and think about that. Article 1, Section 10, Clause 1. How complicated is that? And I challenge the one other thing. When did the president have authority to cancel gold and silver? They don't. The president does not have that authority under the Constitution. Now, he may or may not have that authority under martial law, military tribunals. Okay? But constitutionally speaking to the people, we're still supposed to be operating in gold and silver.
And Janet Yellen's required to know that no court can ask for gold or silver coin, because gold or silver coin is not in general circulation and has not been since 1964. And this court may only ask for Federal Reserve notes because that's all in general circulation. Janet Yellen's required to follow Texas codes, and the Texas codes require cash or its equivalent, which means forced loans, military script, fake money, and and Janet Yellen's required to know that she intends to force the demand to pay the errors and omissions insurance for her bought and paid for whores selling their Just Us, like Godby, Scholler, and Ramirez, thereby nullifying their oath of office and converting a court case into a commercial transaction by forcing the defendant to bond this case. Under the Code of Federal Regulations for revenue and regulations are for property of the United States under the supreme law of the land.
Start right there. Remember, if they're violating your rights, you are allowed to be belligerent. Okay? somebody's causing harm to you, you're allowed to be belligerent in court, and that's what he's doing. He's speaking in his language. He's allowed to because somebody is causing him harm from the government or any man or woman anywhere else.
That's Article 4, Section 3, Clause 2. And forced loans / military script facts make fake money / Federal Reserve notes are for use in the District of Columbia only under the Gold Reserve Act of 1934, which is codified at 12 U.S.C. 411. And Federal Reserve notes are not authorized for this purpose, which means Janet Yellen intends to be a revenue officer under the Federal Tax Lien Act of 1966. And that's...
Again, that is your property tax. They're asking for banknotes.
From this Code of 12 U.S.C. 411, right? Federal Reserve, Federal Reserve notes to be issued at the discretion of the Board of Governors and the Federal Reserve System for the purpose of making advances to Federal Reserve banks or the Federal Reserve agents as hereinafter set forth, and for no other purpose are authorized. So she's a revenue officer under the Federal Tax Lien Act of 1966. Which is another reason Janet Yellen is bringing District of Columbia codes not exceeding 10 miles square on the land of Texas in violation of Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, and which is another reason Janet Yellen has waived any immunity she may have enjoyed. Janet Yellen is conspiring with her District of Columbia corporate military police buddies, and they're all listed there, to threaten, coerce, injure, intimidate the demandant in the free exercise of his rights, to ignore their color of law in violation of 18 U.S.C. 241. Right, so she's conspiring with all those military police to do that. Conspiracy. By taking reprisals against the demandant because of his political beliefs, another war crime, calling him a sovereign citizen, because the demandant is one of the posterity is found in the preamble to the United States Constitution for the United States of America, as evidenced by the Statement of Original Status and associated pedigree charts that's contained in and attached to the original claim for relief, all of which is incorporated herein by reference in its entirety. And Will Livingston ratified the Constitution for New Jersey as the demandant's fourth great uncle, and it is impossible for the demandant to be a citizen of the United States because the demandant's white. And that's in their own codes, 42 United States Code, Section 1982. All citizens of the United States shall have the same right in every state and territory as is enjoyed by white citizens thereof, to inherit, purchase, lease, sell, hold, convey real and personal property. And the so-called 14th Amendment requires only persons born or naturalized in the United States. And the hearsay evidence shows that a man was born on the soil of Alberta, Canada, which the demandant has no first-hand knowledge of. Having said that, the demandant does remember walking to school in Peace River, Alberta, about 600 miles north of the Montana border in the winter when it was 69 degrees below zero, and the demandant does remember finishing high school in 1975 in Raymond, about 20 miles north of the Montana border, and neither has the demandant been naturalized because the sole authority is through the Attorney General by taking the oath of allegiance, which the demandant has failed to do. Neither is the demandant a resident alien because the demandant has failed to make application for a green card. But the demandant did claim American nationality through the Secretary of State, the United States Secretary of State, by right of blood, because the demandant has ancestors who were in the colony of South Carolina, the colony of Virginia, and the colony of Maryland prior to the War of Independence, which means the demandant's ancestors wrote the state and federal constitutions, and all government authority comes from the demandant, and people like the demandant. We, the people. And this is a maxim of law. The power which is derived cannot be greater than that from which it is derived. All of which evidence Janet Yellen to perjure her oath, and all civil laws, Texas, United States codes, rules, and regulations cannot be used to violate the demandant's rights. Another maxim of law, the right of blood and kindred cannot be destroyed by any civil law, which means the demandant is a free inhabitant as found in the Articles of Confederation, and they're required to know the protections provided under the Geneva Conventions may not be given up or waived. They're required to know the protections are mandatory.
All right. We're going to pause there because that's 15 minutes of my rapping and raving with a little bit of his. Sorry. I had to speak my mind. Okay. This is good information for you to research on video in hand where you can type this up yourselves. How much clearer can it be? Do you need to go through all the things that he did to research all this? No, it's right here in front of your face. Okay? Now again, it's hearsay from him, hearsay from me. Take the information, do your own research, come up with your own understanding of it. Okay? But he puts Constitution in there. He's done this. He's done statutes. He's done war crimes. He's written out all these things for you to look up and to research. Now, am I here to say that everything he's saying is true and correct? No, because I have not done the research. I've done a lot of it, but I'm not as knowledge, and I have not went through the court system like he has. Right? Whatever he's saying and doing, he is going through it. He's using his documents and stand on his ground. He is on top of the hill and set the flag. All right. This will be the People News. Bye, y'all.